And welcome again to Cottage Talk. I'm Russ Goldman, and this is another episode of Cottage Talk Fulham Media Buzz. This was entitled the Wednesday, August the 23rd, 2023 Silly Season Update. I have three stories I'll be sharing during the show, and I will have my final commentary on Mitro. Something else I want to share about that. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. Okay, so let's get going. I'm going to start by talking about Mitro one final time, but this is in a little bit different way. So Mitro is now gone. He's now been gone since Saturday. It's now Wednesday. Fulham do not have a replacement. I'm going to say this right now. It was a mistake to sell him before having a replacement. They had time to get this done. They did not have to pull the trigger on the deal with Al Hilal until they had a suitable replacement. The money's great, but if you do nothing with it or don't find the player that you want as a suitable replacement, then you should not have done the deal with Al Hilal. They needed to find a replacement. They've done this before. They irritated me a few years ago when they let Mawson go out on loan, where I'm like, why are you sending him out on loan instead of having a replacement all ready to go? It ended up being Anderson, who was good, but that happened at the end of the window. I do not like the process, the philosophy to just bring in a player after you've let another player go. You should already have the player in-house. This, to me, has been an utter mistake by Fulham Football Club. Now they're linked to I don't know how many strikers across Europe. I'm going to be sharing one story about one striker, but there are many that they are speaking to. You just have to look at the press. It's not one, it's several. And it didn't have to come down to this. They could have been finding a replacement before they sold Mitro. This is a mistake. I'm not changing my mind on it. I'm consistent with this. I do not like the process of doing this. It's just wrong because you're putting the player before Fulham Football Club. Fulham needed a replacement. They don't have one right now. Listen, I think Raul Jimenez is going to do a nice job, but he's not the Mitro replacement. They need to find that striker, and they should not have done this with Al Hilal before finding a replacement. Very upset about this. I've really given this some serious thought. The money's great, but you know what? If you don't do anything with it properly, then what does it really mean? Because Fulham need to be building. Now they're in the replacement game, which I did not want them to be in. Fine, they're in the replacement game. Find a replacement. Don't be doing this after the fact. They're doing this after the fact. They should be criticized for this. And I'm going to criticize them right now. I'm very upset by this. Okay. Well, that's going to lead to talking about Fulham being linked to a striker. Like I said, this is one of many. So this was on hamyan.com this morning. It is from Chloe White, and I'm just going to read from her article on hamyan.com. Like I said, this player is just one of many that Fulham have been linked to. So here is the story from Chloe. It is entitled Fulham working on Keane deal. Fulham and Moise Keane's agent are working hard on concluding a deal to bring the Juventus forward to Craven Cottage. According to reports from Italy, preliminary discussion between the parties established that Juventus are seeking to sell their Italian international for the second time during this transfer window after a loan was ruled out, according to Goal Italia yesterday. A couple other Italian sources suggest this morning that Juventus are seeking around £21 million for the 23-year-old, but that Keane's agent, Alessandro Lucci, is working in synergy with Juve, Fulham, and the ex-Everton forward to finalize the terms of a permanent transfer. Fulham feel Juventus are likely to lower their asking price as Keane is not in Max Allegri's plans. He scored 8 goals in 40 appearances last season, but has largely been used as a substitute or in the cup competition since returning from a strong loan spell with PSG, which he recorded 17 times in 41 games in the 2020-2021 season. The Whites are desperate to sign a striker to replace Alexander Mitrovic before the close of the summer window, and Keane's pace could provide Marco Silva with an alternative to his current attacking options. Keane scored only 4 goals in 39 appearances across 3 campaigns with Everton, but has won 2 Serie A titles since returning to Turin. He was named Serie A's Player of the Month last November after scoring the only goal of the game to help Juve beat Verona and following that up with a brilliant brace in a 3-0 home win over Lazio. Okay, so that's the article from Coley Whiteandhamian.com to give you a little background on Moises Keane. Good things and bad things. Time at Everton wasn't the greatest. It's been better since, so it's encouraging. The fee that is being talked about is not a crazy amount in regards to what Juve are looking for. Fulham are trying to get it to be even lower. But here's the thing. This is not a player that, to me, is a proven commodity. Now, it's difficult now. Again, they're doing this after the fact. And I've seen other players that Fulham are linked to. I've seen all of the Balogun's speculation, and there are tons of teams in for him. And there are other strikers as well. These are all strikers that have doubts with them. There's no proven striker, totally proven striker I've seen Fulham linked to, including this player. So basically what Fulham are doing right now, because it's the end of the window, they're trying to find the best possible solution. They're picking up the scraps. That's why this whole Mitro situation has infuriated me beyond belief. I do not want to see Fulham in this situation where they are looking at strikers with issues. Each one of the strikers that they're looking at has issues that I've seen. So that to me shows me that Fulham are just scrambling to find the best of the best that's left, I guess you could say. So that to me is disappointing. It sounds like, based on the speculation, that Fulham are trying to make this one happen, but I wouldn't rule out a move for a different striker. They have their balls in many courts right now, and they're just trying to find one that will bite, basically, one that they can actually grab. So I wouldn't say that I don't believe this speculation. I believe it to be true, but I think Fulham are linked to so many strikers that it wouldn't shock me if this doesn't happen and Fulham signed a different striker. But this whole situation with finding a striker is extremely disappointing. And as you can tell, I'm pretty upset by it. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about some speculation I saw a few days ago. This is on Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, by a journalist by the name of Fabrice Hawkins. He wrote this: Tosin Adarabioyo wants to sign for Monaco. The center back has an agreement with Monaco. Fulham and his coach Marco Silva prefer to sell him to Tottenham and recover Eric Dyer. Now, what's interesting about this is interesting speculation. If you see what is being said by the Tottenham supporters, they're all for it. They want Eric Dyer gone. They watch him a lot more than I do, but I actually do think that Eric Dyer would be a good fit for Fulham Football Club. I would like to see him here. I know that I've seen the speculation and the talk that he's better in a 3 rather than a 2, but I'm going with the fact that Eric Dyer would be playing under Marco Silva, that Marco Silva would get the most out of Eric Dyer. I would be for this. Tosin wants to go. So do I believe the story? Yes, but Tottenham would have to want to do the deal, and we'll see if this happens. Like I said, Monaco is pushing for the deal for Tosin. I believe he will either end up in Monaco, maybe at Tottenham, but if this speculation became true, I'd be all for the deal. I'd be all for Eric Dyer coming back to Fulham Football Club. But like I mentioned, it's simply speculation. Okay, coming up next to end this episode of Cottage Talk, I'm going to talk about the ongoing saga with Callum Hudson-Odoi. Okay, to end this episode of Cottage Talk, I'm going to share my thoughts on a story. This is from a few days ago, and there have been other stories since then about Callum Hudson-Odoi. According to the Evening Standard 2 days ago, Fulham face fight to sign Callum Hudson-Odoi as Everton and Nottingham Forest join. Now, there's been a lot of stories since then. But again, if you're going by the speculation, Fulham are still negotiating down the £8 million that Chelsea are looking for Callum Hudson-Odoi. I've also seen reports that from Sky Sports that talks have stalled with Fulham and Chelsea in regards to Callum Hudson-Odoi. Then I've seen other stories saying that Fulham have completely walked away. These are all speculative stories. Do I buy that there's something going on with Callum Hudson-Odoi, that there's a struggle there? Yes. I don't know what the truth is, but obviously a deal has not been done. And this is a player that Fulham have been targeting for a long time, along with Damari Gray. Neither one of them are at Craven Cottage right now, or at Motspur Park, more importantly. Not at Craven Cottage, be training at Motspur Park. So it's very disappointing that Fulham have not been able to find two wingers, because I think they're trying to find two wingers. And basically at this point, I'm going to use a baseball term, they've struck out. They've not been able to bring in the players that they need. And this to me is very disappointing. Stand up to the plate, take the ball and hit it out of the park and bring in Callum Hudson-Odoi. I don't believe it's dead. Bring him in. If you really want him, bring in Callum Hudson-Odoi. Find the two wingers that you need. Find all the players that you need. The fact that we're getting close to the end of the window just shows me that this is what I would call Tony time. Tony likes the end of the window where he can wheel and deal. I get that. But we need players in now. And I'm not interested in Fulham saving some money on a player trying to get the best deal. I want the players. Get the players in the door now. If they still want Callum Hudson-Odoi, go get Callum Hudson-Odoi. Step up to the plate, pay the fee that Chelsea want, and bring the player in. I don't agree with haggling over every deal. Get the player in. And that, to me, is how I'm going to end this episode. All the speculation that is out there, there's a tremendous amount with all different positions. Fullbacks, wingers, strikers, central midfielders. It's everywhere. No players are through the door since Mitro has left. That is extremely disappointing. Get your crap together, Fulham Football Club, and bring the players into the door. It doesn't need to be at the end of the window. I understand the business part of this, that it needs to be good business for Fulham, but at some point you have to step up and pay a little bit more to get these players in the door. I'm getting more and more frustrated by this as each day goes on. It's Wednesday, and Fulham, like I said, no signings since Mitro, and they need to be improving big time. They also need to be replacing Mitro. There's a lot to be done, and deals will be done at the end of the window. I understand that, but come on, let's get it done now. Enough with all the talk. It's time for action. So I'm challenging Shahid, Tony, Alistair, everyone that is associated with recruitment. Get these deals done now. You have a wonderful opportunity, if you get the right players in, to build the squad to contend for Europe. I still believe that. To contend for 7th. I'm going to say it right now, but you have to get the players in the door. You have to. It is time to do it now. It doesn't have to be on deadline day. Get it done now. And that's how I'm going to end this episode of Cottage Talk. As you can tell, not a happy camper. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Cottage Talk. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. My name is Russ Goldman. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, part of the talkSPORT Fan Network.